This isn't just a cult. This is a cabal. This is an assemblage. This is hurly-burly. This is disquiet. This is poetry. This is fiction. This is reality. This is bedlam.
So after a cleansing, relaxing bath, that's a good daily habit, Sue has a regular routine. And planned time too for the finishing touches. Doing your nails, brushing your hair, and so on. Sue avoids red nail polish since it would call attention to her stubby hands. A clear polish keeps her nails sparkling. Once a week, Sue gives herself a complete manicure. Then daily care of her nails is easy. In the same way regular shampoos and daily brushing keep her hair clean and glossy. And these finishing touches that add so much to Sue's cleanliness and neatness all fit into a simple schedule of daily activities. And now for at least 8 hours of sleep.
This is a dream. This is a movie. This is... well... this is a recommendation about a movie that I recently discovered on one of those underground streaming services. It's an indie film. Kind of an absurdist adventure dramedy with elements of socio-political philosophy and magical realism delivered via satirical paranoid fiction. Most of it is live action, although some parts are claymation or a particular Bulgarian knockoff version of anime. Some sources say it was first released in 1974, but others claim it was 1975 or even 1976. I have a feeling it was all of the above. The San Francisco International Film Festival appears to have had a viewing in 1974, but the real release was at the inaugural Toronto Film Festival in 1976. The film, known most often as Telephone Girl and the County Drum, was written, produced, directed, and starred an unusual character known as Czar Tisk. That's T-S-K, T-S-K, as in, no, that is not approved. Of course, the name grabbed my attention. What kind of moniker is this? But Tisk isn't really all that much of a mystery. A simple Google search will get you pictures from his 1958 Polytechnic Institute of Brooklyn graduation. In fact, he grew up in Brooklyn, and there are all kinds of newspaper articles regarding his high school activities and achievements. Both his father, General Tisk, and his grandfather, King Tisk, were graduates of the same Polytechnic Institute of Brooklyn. The whole naming the kid with a title thing seems to be a family tradition, or at least a running gag. After graduating summa cum laude from PIB, Tisk landed himself a nice gig based on his prior exploration of microwaves and wireless communications. While working as a researcher at the legendary Think Factory in downtown Manhattan in the mid through late 60s, Czar Tisk was making a bit of a name for himself. Primarily, he worked in the Dream Center division, where their motto was, "The anticipation of tomorrow is happening now." There, he helped create, in collaboration with fellow researcher and soon-to-be famous Jim Henson, the electronic modulating rhythm machine, which was something of a keyboard powered by the latest telekinetic puppet technology. Before it was later linked to a particular type of spasm, this device was incorporated to create artificial audio used by many of the world's leading brand names, including Jell-O, Veg-O-Matic, SpaghettiOs, O. Henry candy bars, Filet-O-Fish, Cheerios, and Whammo. Not long after joining Think Factory, Tisk started a side project. It was personal, and he kept it on the down low. For several years, he had been trying to realize his own dreams, and now he began using Think Factory time, technology, and equipment to manifest his vision. It was a story that had been floating through his mind in bits and pieces like gossamer for as long as he could remember. It had always been elusive. At times, the visions were so vivid, but he could never hold on to them. His deep desire was to tie it all together in a coherent fashion and finally understand its meaning. To do this, he employed Dream Center technology, including the circle line generator, the meticulous attention emphasizer, and the audio collage demagnetizing illustrator. The work was grueling, unethical, probably illegal, and potentially life-threatening. Since the project was so secretive, Tisk was conducting all the experiments on himself, by himself. We know little about what these experiments actually were, but bits of notes, both written and recorded on mini-cassettes, have surfaced over the years. Large amounts of unauthorized psychotropics used in conjunction with U.S. Air Force-funded lithium keyboards, mellotrons using argon tunings in Deep Nine floating isolation tanks, latent glass chambers, homeopathic detox poetry, unmonitored pathogen audio injections. You name it, he was using it.
Now, I wouldn't do a thing like this to anybody I like, but a guy like you, well, who cares?
Eventually, Tisk managed to create a document that contained elements of a screenplay along with the necessary storyboards that he would use to develop his film, which he usually referred to as Telephone Girl and the County Drum, an alarm, a desire, an aspiration. In the opening scene, which is exquisitely rendered, using a 30-camera sequence shot in both Super Technorama and Cinerama 360. We see a small transistor radio on the top of a sand dune. We come to realize that near the radio, there is a body splayed out face down, with the breeze slowly revealing it grain of sand by grain of sand. The first couple of the minutes of the film are silent. All we hear is the breeze. Then there comes a narration, possibly from the radio, possibly from nearby. We don't know.
Back when I was a fabricated tiger, a digital man shark, a real button ruffler. Back when I would head down to the jousting sook with the circle of swarming permeations, T-Tank, turn screw, Philippine, the butcher et al. I would delve and do little. Little to less, as they would say back in the day. Little to less was the whole point in the days when the dead pets had all been named Omen, Sin Sign, Harbinger, or Herald. It wasn't far off from our own names. The notices, previously pinned to the poles, had faded and curled to the elements. But the point had infiltrated the zeitgeist. The complete cohort was just a calamity. Spiritual catalogs of terrific top tags, developed and distinguished by manufactured youth, or even ruminations by liberal idealists, giving way to generic, proper life labels. Tuesday, June, Junior, Lapse, Vex, Sorrow, Rue.
It is hard to believe that this was Tisk Tisk's first foray into storytelling, writing, or filmmaking. From the very onset, the film is gripping, disturbing, and intriguing. Adjacently, and I don't want to go into the details of who appears in this movie, but let's just say you're going to recognize some faces and shake your head in stunning befuddlement. There really needs to be a Heart of Darkness documentary for this movie because I'm sure that the backstory might be even better than the movie itself. Throughout the film, the colors are brilliant and otherworldly, seemingly unbelievable. The sky is blue. As a viewer, you recognize that it is blue. But it is a blue that you've never witnessed or anticipated. There was a point while watching this that I wondered if there was something wrong with my monitor or if I was having a stroke within my optic nerves. The first time I viewed the film, I didn't know anything about the production or Tisk Tisk. I had never heard of any of this. It wasn't until I started doing some research that I realized that maybe something weird was going on. Now that I know what the Think Factory was involved in, especially with the US military-funded projects of 1965 through 1968, I think maybe there was some sort of ocular manipulation going on. But I really don't have any evidence. All I know is I have never seen anything as intensely as I have while watching this film. It is as if somehow the rods and cones of my eyes had been multiplied temporarily. Maybe 2/3 through the movie, there's a pivotal scene with a character I can only assume is based on Tisk Tisk himself.
At least that's all I can recall after awakening from my self-imposed month-long coma. A lesser-known ritual for spiritual peace than the sweat lodge purification and putrefaction ceremony, but without stinking up the whole place. Probably my memories are not concrete. Like the time my father dragged me to the racetrack as a child, and we watched in horror as the balloon payment to Mr. Kane came in third to Molly's groin and Bing Bong Foxtrot Charlie. That was real. Dad dropped me off at the apartment of the king after that and told me not to tell Mother about her afternoon. 2 weeks later, his body washed up on the shores of New Jersey. That was real. But the dead pets, the cohort calamity, I'm thinking those were merely synapse and dendrite dreams fueled by morphine and Haldol. They've got to be, because I'm pretty sure it was Ermin Schmidt who strolled up to me with authentic Buchla 200 last used by Ralph Hutter and said, "There is seating for one now open on the Kling Klang Express." Crazy jousting sook if there ever was one.
There are several scenes in the movie that take place at the jousting sook. It's a metaphor, and I don't want to give away even what I think it might represent. Again, the attention to detail with the costumes, the lighting, and the camera angles is incredible, truly visionary, stunning. The final of these jousting sook scenes features the county drum of the title and a showdown involving Telephone Girl. I probably shouldn't say any more about that. Frankly, I doubt that I could describe it even if I wanted to, and I think it'll take the rest of my life to actually comprehend it.
Oh, the Kling Klang Express. Now there was some double-dealing disinformation. Trickery overflowing with treachery. Capital chock-a-block-a laughingstock. Generation ill-advised. Knew, as did generation worse off than before. Nothing to see here. Move along. Move along. Switch on the selector. Sonu, the AQI, my dear comrade.
Slithery.
Can we fashion a filter?
Simply said, no.
And the prognostication for those speaking in the tongue fiscal?
Slinky is lanked.
Again, oh my. How is my tummy tally? Will I survive till the solstice?
Same as it ever was. Suspiciously shaky.
Perpetually piggish. You are my partner in persistence. So it goes, so it goes. Dead dads, dead pets, dead death. Might as well head down to the jousting sook. For some little to less than maybe a pint of Bing Bong Foxtrot with a wee bit of Molly's groin. Just me, Ermin, and Ralph, and a mind full of Bukla firing the synapse mother. Mother, mother, mother. Nothing to see here. Move along, move along. Switch on the selector.
The kids in the street don't wanna have fun. They just wanna beat on the county drum. Tearing off shirts and cursing the sun. Still a beast down on the county drum. Oh, now don't ask why. You pretty thing could have been a calendar girl. Jab back broken and headboard cracked. County drum strapped tight on the rack. Hold up the vision and stick up the back. Give it the beat with a gun in your back. Oh, don't even try. You know the way you sing could have been Telegram girl. Feel them closing in. They're on your heels, against your skin. The river feeding of your charm, sounding the alarm of the county drum. You better run. Stretch the truth across the skin of the calf. Count the sticks, split the tension in half. The boys beat on and the girls can't laugh. Stuck in the prison of a photograph. Oh, now don't be shy. Your voice is such a ring. Could have been a telephone girl. Some of them crawl and some of them run, heading for the breaking of the county drum. When it's all over and said and done, they brag about the ticking of the county drum. Oh, don't even cry. You silly thing could have been a traveling girl. Taking in the breaking of the county drum. 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 Breaking of the county
What happened to Czar Tisk Tisk? Good question. Well, let me ask you this. Have you ever heard of Telephone Girl in the County Drum? Until today, had you ever heard of Czar Tisk Tisk? Yep. Me neither. And I'm actually out there looking for this type of stuff. As far as I can tell, the movie was not received well, not at all. At nearly 6 hours, it's a bit long. Theaters really didn't want to play it, and there wasn't even a home for it on cable TV once that came around. Cinemax wouldn't touch it, TBS and TNT stayed clear too. It requires patience, demands a lot of your attention, wants you to have a pretty decent grasp on several languages, hurts your eyes after about 40 minutes, and well, there is the ending. Again, I don't want to give anything away, but the adjective discombobulating seems applicable. Raymond Scott, founder and CEO of Think Factory, was pretty pissed off when he learned about Tisk Tisk's flagrant violations of company policies. He wasn't going to welcome him back. Frankly, Tisk Tisk seems lucky in that he wasn't sued by Scott. Down on his luck, Tisk Tisk eventually found himself at the doorstep of his old friend and fellow filmmaker Jim Henson. That was around 1980 or 81. The Muppets were huge, but Henson was kind of out of sorts himself. Filled with so many creative ideas, Henson was working non-stop and spending very little time with his family. One of his prime collaborators, Frank Oz, was spending more and more time doing Yoda with George Lucas, and Henson kind of needed Tisk Tisk as much as Tisk Tisk needed anything at all to help keep him grounded. What started off as a pretty good pairing with each of them balancing the other kind of took a dark turn as they spent more and more time working together. Henson began having an increasing interest in mortality, and Tisk Tisk had pretty much always been hanging out at that end of the pool. It wasn't long before they were neck deep in the Dark Crystal. Frank Oz is credited as co-director, and no doubt he played an important role in the animatronics and production. But now that I've seen Telephone Girl in the County Drum, I have no doubt that a lot of what is going on in that movie comes directly from Tisk Tisk. It's certainly darker than the Muppet work before this. There are a number of lighting elements and color choices that are clearly from Telephone Girl in the County Drum. It's obvious to me that the movie was tri-directed. Tisk Tisk always denies any creative association with Henson after Think Factory, but if you look at the behind-the-scenes photos of any Henson project post-1980, there he is in his trademark cape, Doctor Who t-shirt, and leather fedora. My opinion? After the commercial failure of Telephone Girl in the County Drum, Tisk Tisk considered himself damaged goods and didn't want to jinx any project with his association. Plus, Henson probably would have had problems finding financial backing if Tisk Tisk was known as part of the team. Henson died in 1990, and because Tisk Tisk wasn't really understood to be a key collaborator to the Jim Henson Company, he found it difficult to find work in Hollywood. That actually was fine with him. It seems that he was sick of the game anyway. He had saved up the money that Henson had funneled his direction and went back to his origins in engineering. In 1991, he used his knowledge of microwaves and wireless communications to form Manipulating Systems LLC. In 1999, he sold that company to AT&T. Because of some pretty clever wording he put in the contract, he retained stock interests that only increased through a series of mergers and acquisitions involving Cisco Systems, Comcast, and Amazon. Tisk Tisk is now a multi-billionaire. It's the kind of money that allows him to make sure you've never heard of him. Or his son, Father-Grandfather Tisk Tisk. I do not expect this episode of this little podcast to be available on the platforms very long, so you might want to download it and keep it on a hard drive if you're at all interested in this subject. At 80 years old, Tisk Tisk and his son seem to be pouring a great deal of his money into technology necessary to fully realize the vision of Telephone Girl and the County Drum. A remake is in the works currently. The project is pretty hush-hush, and what has leaked out seems to require his own streaming service solely devoted to the movie, which is rumored to play out over real time. Forever. That's all I know. Or, that's all that I've been able to find so far. If you have any further information about Telephone Girl and the County Drum, Tsar Tisk Tisk, or his son, Father Grandfather Tisk Tisk, please let me know. You can contact us via the This Isn't Just a Cult website or on Instagram and Twitter. You have been listening to This Isn't Just a Cult, a work of real fiction. This episode was written, narrated, and produced by me, Björ6n Oranj. Additional writing was contributed by Christopher Campbell, aka The Creepy Man.
The creeping man. What does he want? Nobody knows.
Additionally, The Creepy Man provided the soundscape for this entire episode. His work is available on Bandcamp. Check the show notes for some links. Always the gentleman Citron provided the voice of Tsar Tisk Tisk, and we are proud to introduce Ruby Loam as Telephone Girl. You know, I've got something to say. I often gloss over this, which is kind of criminal, but Bosky Rumblover, more often than not, is involved in shining these little episodes up with his audio wizardry right before they get sent off into the ether. Thanks, Bosky. The spark for this episode was the song County Drum by Zack Scott. You heard it earlier in the podcast. It is from his album Seahorses, which you can find at Bandcamp, Spotify, Deezer, iTunes, YouTube Music, and just about any other place you get your listening pleasures. Check out the show notes for some links. Learn about this art collective at thisisn'tjustacult.com. That is also a good way to contact us, along with Instagram and Twitter. This Isn't Just a Cult is a production of Higgins Turner Higgins, LLC. Subscribing and reviews are greatly appreciated. Or, you know what? You have a Sharpie marker or two on your desk, or maybe in your backpack, possibly in the junk drawer, right? You know what I'm talking about. Do you have a t-shirt or a hoodie t-shirt? Smash those things together. Get creative. Is it a plain gray v-neck t-shirt? Easy peasy. Just scrawl, This Isn't Just a Cult on there. Penmanship doesn't matter. Front or back, big is better, but really, you choose the size. Does your t-shirt say San Jose State Spartans on it? No problem. Just add This Isn't Just a Cult underneath. Or cross it out altogether and replace it with This Isn't Just a Cult. That works. Really, no matter what the t-shirt says, This Isn't Just a Cult is totally applicable. Nacho average mama? This isn't just a cult. Save water, drink beer. This isn't just a cult. God, guns, and Trump. This isn't just a cult. It all works. No problem. Get creative. Go ahead and send us some pics and tag us on Twitter and Instagram. Somebody come up with a hashtag. Whatever. We want to see what you come up with. Okay. That about sums up this episode. Thanks for listening. Remember, only you can prevent this world from a nosedive into a big, jagged rock with super sharp spikes coming out from the jaggedy parts all super painfully like. Ouch! Let's go out with another track from Zack Scott. For your listening pleasure, Warm, Worn Heart. You can find it on Bandcamp. Enjoy.
Now I know you're too far away,
'cause I'm having trouble just getting through the day. Waking up without you, I can't feel the sun. Before I get started, another day's done. Worn, your heart's worn to a thread. Easy, baby, lay down your head. All I wanna do is just be a part of your warm, warm heart. Warm, warm heart. I wonder what you're doing tonight. Did you turn on the TV or turn out the lights? Maybe you're wondering what I'm doing here. Well, I could be whispering into your ear. Worn, your heart's worn to a thread. Easy, baby, lay down your head. All I wanna do is just be a part of your warm, warm heart. Warm, warm heart. Well, I miss you so bad. Since I got lost, I'd rather be frozen in the Midwestern frost. Counting days till I get back to you. But now I'll just sit with the black and the blue. Warm, my heart's warm to a thread. Easy, baby, lay down your head. All I wanna do is just be a part of your warm, warm, warm. Your heart's warm to a thread. Easy, baby, lay down your head. All I wanna do is just be a part of your warm, warm heart. Warm, warm heart. Warm, warm heart. Warm, warm heart.
Thanks for listening.